Hi guys, welcome back to Battle with Ola. This is Mujela Olua and I'm super thrilled to be here once again. If you're new here, welcome. This is where I talk about law practice in Nigeria, my own law practice experience especially, and Nigerian law in general. So thank you for coming. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you're a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much. I'd like to tell you that there's an option for you to join my channel as a member now. You would see the join button just beside the subscribe button, and when you click it, you see the wonderful benefits that you get as a member of the channel, and that's like an exclusive inner circle that you pay for, and then you get some extra benefits aside others. So I look forward to having you as members of my inner circle. So this episode is a gist episode, so this is Bar Gist. If you're not familiar with Bar Gist is where I actually talk about my own experience. There's Bar Talk where we actually talk about the law, but Bar Gist is where we talk about personal experiences. So I just want to share a few experiences, a couple of experiences that I've had in court, and I want to reflect on them and talk about my takeaways from them and how they can help you if you're a young lawyer like me, or even if you are a totally new week. So I remember that when I was an extern in a court, for externs in Nigerian law school. At the Nigerian law school, if you're an extern, you extern at a court for a few weeks, and then you extern at a law firm for a few weeks. So when I was externing at a court, I remember there was one day that things got heated between two counsel, and there was a male counsel and a female counsel, and the male was apparently older in age and at the bar, I surmise. So at some point, he looked at this woman and told her, "Sit down." Like he snapped at her in open court, "Sit down." This woman said, "You can't tell me to sit down. I take exceptions to that." And she stood her ground. And boy, was I proud of her. And the funny thing is that I now work with this woman. And I had no idea at that time when I was busy standing her in court that I was going to be working with her. Though due to the structure of my workplace, we haven't really worked together, but we are now in the same employment. That's what I'm talking about. So I've looked at her with that, high of respect since then. What am I saying, bringing out from this is that it was absolutely out of place for that male lawyer to tell the other lawyer, the female lawyer, to sit down. Why? She's not your child. She's not even your wife at all. That is if you should even be telling your wife to sit down in such manner. So it was totally unprofessional. I remember that when we got back to the chamber, because after court, the judge will call us into his chamber. I remember that when we got back into the judge's chamber, I asked him why he did not intervene, because I remember that when they were both exchanging words, the judge sat and was looking. So I had to ask him that, why? Is it because she's a woman that you could not even step in? So he said no, but that he thought that maybe the two of them had some unfinished business that was not really related to courts, and so that's why he let them slug it out. Well, he has his reasons. I mean, he knows them more than I do. Yes, because they've been appearing before him, apparently. It was an ongoing case, not a fresh matter. So the thing that I want to bring out from this is that if you're a male lawyer, especially if you're used to saying things, having your way, if you are a relic of patriarchy, please don't bring it to court, okay? Women in court, lawyers who are women in court, are your colleagues. They are not your subordinates. No, they don't have to defer to you for any reason. So you have no right. It's absolutely out of place for you to speak to them in any disrespectful manner. And I've looked at that other lawyer because I've seen him in court too. In fact, we've been in the same court where I was appearing, it was appearing, different cases. But I've also looked at him also with that eye, since then. Although, there are some odd things that I understand now. That as a lawyer also, it's another lesson that you shouldn't take things personal, because, even if you fight today in one case, in another case tomorrow, you might be friends, or you might be on the same side tomorrow, or whatever you. But as to that particular experience, it was totally out of place, and it was very rattling for me, because I was like, why would you come to court and speak like that? I just imagined that maybe in his house he was Lord of the Manor, snapping at his wife and children and what have you. I tend to look at men in that way. when they are behaving in such unprofessional manner at work, I tend to, imagine what they would be like at home. Maybe it's not how to look at it, but that's how I really, looked at the situation. So fast forward to my own practice. This particular legal year, I've been experiencing a lot, or I experienced a lot. It's now last legal year, yeah, because we're in a break now. There's an holiday that's about to end at the end of September, towards the beginning of October. It's another legal year, so I'll just say last legal year. So there was this day that I was in court waiting for my matter to be called, and there was this other lawyer, senior lawyer, male lawyer, that was in another matter. And then so it was standing in for a colleague, actually, from what I could garner from what was going on in court. It wasn't my matter. I wasn't in matter, so I was just observing till my time, till my turn. So he stood up and told the court that his colleague is not around because of so and so reason. He gave excuses. I think he said the colleague was indisposed and that he was just standing in for the colleague. I don't think he was even properly in the matter. Maybe the colleague just called him that, okay, please stand in my stead, appear in my stead, and take an adjournment, I assume, because he was now asking the court for an adjournment. So the other counsel stood up and was like, they've been giving excuse upon excuse since the beginning of the story of the matter, and that even if his colleague was not here, where are their witnesses? So he was trying to tell the court that because their witnesses were not here, they were supposed to continue. It was their turn to continue. I think maybe they were the claimants or maybe the defendants, I'm not too sure. So the other colleague was saying that even if the lawyer in the matter was not around, where are their witnesses? That shows that they did not even prepare or come to court for the matter to go on. Because if they've gotten someone to, stand in for the lawyer, then the matter should be able to go on if their witnesses were here. So the fact that the witnesses were not also here alongside the lawyer showed that they had already planned to come and take an adjournment, waste the time of the court and all of that. So he now said that what this man was saying, this man that was standing in, that what he was saying was cock and bull stories and all of that. This man flew up and told the court, my lord, I take exceptions to that. My colleague cannot be telling me, he just said that he would not accept his colleague telling him that he was giving the court cock and bull stories. So he just stood up and, objected to the fact that he had been accused of giving the court cock and bull stories. And and then the court still now stepped in and told the other counsel that you can't talk to your colleague like that and all of that. In law, respect is everything. The way we address each other, the manner in which we address each other is everything. So it's important you pick your words carefully, you don't insult the other party and all of that. So the other colleague had to withdraw, and apologize, withdraw his comment. He had to withdraw his comment because that's not a fair comment. It's important. So I think it's somewhere in the rules of professional conduct that you should pass fair comments on your colleagues. If you're familiar with the Nigerian legal scene, you will know that there very recently an SAN went on, I think he went on radio, national radio, and he said so many disparaging things about the immediate past NBA president, that's the Nigerian Bar Association president. Very, very, very demeaning things, and things that were out of place for him to have even said, not just to a colleague, but to the immediate leader, head of the Nigerian Bar Association, so to speak. And, it generated a lot of debates, especially considering the fact that the person that was talking was a senior advocate of Nigeria, which means that he had no regard for ethics of the profession. Because ordinarily, you should not talk about your colleagues anyhow. I was saying something the other day. I said that what I'm familiar with is that at the bar, we hype each other to the high heavens. That's what I know of. That's what I'm familiar with. That's what I do to my colleagues. If you see me hyping my colleagues, you'll be like, what's up, gossip? Because I'll be like, the law, Just hype them, make them feel very important, because that's who we are. We're important members of the society because we help to interpret and administer the law. We're doing both, even though we're supposed to be in the judiciary, but we're doing both, for the two arms of government. So, okay, so this colleague withdrew his comments. They did their matter, they went on. Now it was time for me, my own case, and the colleague that had been accused of giving cock and bull story was in my matter. It was the one I was appearing against. So my colleague had told me that what happened the last adjourned date was that the other party said they had served us a motion, but it was not in our file when the file was given to her. And so she had asked him for a copy, but because she was doing other matters, when they concluded that particular matter, she went to, the court called our other matters. So the man left, the lawyer left, the lawyer left while she was still doing our other matters, so she could not get a copy from him. She asked him to serve a copy, but he did not drop a copy. He left the court, so we did not have a copy yet. So as soon as I got the file and got the hang of things, I went around the office. I was looking for this particular motion. I went to the registry. I went into all the offices where this motion is supposed to be ordinarily, if it had been received at our establishment, and I couldn't find it. So I didn't know what to do. Court date was already here. So when I got to court and I realized that that lawyer was the lawyer in matter, I went to him and I asked him for a copy of the motion and said that, it wasn't in my file. He should give me a copy. And then he started talking as if we were fighting before. He started saying all manner of things. So I just left him and went back to my seat because I had crossed over an aisle to go ask him for a copy, which was the normal thing to do, so that I won't be surprised when the case was called, and so that I will be able to look through the motion. If it's something that needs to be responded to orally, or if we could move on with it, we could just move on that day. So the man started. As he started like this, I just left because I hate confrontation. I detest it. I run away. I flee all appearances of confrontation. So I went back to my seat, and then a few minutes later, he then sent a copy over to me, and then I accepted it. I looked through it and I realized there was something that needed to be properly responded to. So I was going to ask the court for an adjournment, within which to respond properly to that motion with a counter affidavit. So when our matter was called, it turned out that because I had asked him for a copy of the motion, I had already armed him with information to use against me. So when he got up, the first thing he told the court was that, oh, he had served us on the so date. So he just gave the court a history, just to prove the fact that we have been unserious and nonchalant about the situation. And he started telling the court that, oh, he has served us, so we are the ones that refused to file our counter affidavit. That's the last thing we said at the last adjourned date. We are this, we are that, and all of that. So the court asked me to speak, and I told the court that I've just been served in court this morning, and I would need time to respond. The lawyer just flew up and flared up, and he was like, "My lord, I don't know what this young lady is saying. She's just blah, 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 blah." It just went on and on and on and on and on. I was taken aback, but the court was even more taken aback than me. So the court stopped him, and the court, redressed him. That you don't address your colleague at the bar as young lady. She's a lawyer in her right. And by the way, in Nigeria, all lawyers are male. So she's even a he, not a she. So she's neither a lady nor young lady to you. She's learned colleague. Yeah, learned colleague. So the courts redressed him and he calmed down. Then he continued talking. He was insisting that I came the last time and I said so and so and so and so, that I'm just, And then the court turned to me. I told the court, "My lord, I wasn't even here the last time." Then he flared up. He said, "I was here." That I'm suggesting that I was lying to the court. I can't even remember if he used the word lying. I hope he did not. I don't think he would have, because I know my lord would have corrected him, because I'm trying not to misrepresent what had happened, because it was something that I thought about for so many days, that what manner of disrespect is this? So he was suggesting to the court that I was lying, not just about being served the motion, but about the fact that I was there at the last adjourned date. So the court, I'm not the one that was here. My lord had to look into his records, and then he told him that on his record at the last adjourned date, he had so name, and then my own name is so. So I was not even here at the last adjourned date. That was the respite. And then my lord now counseled him on how he was supposed to cooperate with us, because his client, stood to lose a lot, with the way things were going. So he should cooperate with us to ensure that we do the proper thing, that there's no need to be, confrontational, that we can work together and all of that. And then my lord was explaining to him, the the peculiarities of our establishment. The Lord now asked me what I wanted. I said I need time to respond. And that's because, one, it was a dire situation. The nature of the motion was such that I could not just tell my court, was such that I could not just tell the court that we're not opposing, because I'm under authority. So I'd have to respond. I'd have to give feedback back at the establishment that, oh, this is why I said I wasn't opposed, and now these people are nowhere to be found. So now it's hanging on my neck. Before someone will now think that, okay, maybe they paid me off to not oppose that motion, that could have, ensured their presence in court and all of that, So the court now granted the adjournment. So my other cases were called. And then I just saw that this lawyer came and sat near me. He crossed from his own side to my other side, to my own side. And he sat beside me and gave me another copy of that motion, and told me to endorse received by me, that it was a received copy, that I'd received a copy of the motion. I gave him back his motion because I was actually angry. Glad that the court had redressed him, but I was actually angry that, he would speak to me. He spoke to me in such a condescending manner. It was disrespectful. I might not have, represented it properly to you because I do not like to overstate things. But the way that he spoke to me, no lawyer deserves to be spoken to in that manner. I'm glad that the court redressed him. But anyway, so I told him, I gave back the process to him. I said, I will not sign anything. You don't get to speak to me in that manner. I'm not your child, and I'm not a child. So you don't get to speak to me in that manner. I gave him back his process. Hey, little did I know that I had started World War III. He held himself, waited for my case, my ongoing case, because he was even distracting me. I was, in the middle of a case. So he waited for me to finish that case, and then he jumped up and told the court, he reported me to my lord, that I refused to collect the process from him for me to endorse, my signature that I had received a copy of the motion. I was just laughing. How can you be so petty? You're a grown-ass man, for crying out loud. So my lord now asked me that why didn't I collect it from him and all of that, that I should have just collected it. I told my lord that I'm on record as having said that this morning I was served a copy. The court already has it on record, so it doesn't need any proof of collection from me. So the court now addressed him that Mr. So the court already knew that I was reacting to the way he had spoken to me earlier. So the court now went on a sermon, preached to him on how sometimes your conduct can shut some doors against you, because he doesn't know what we will do together in the future again and all of that. And then, because I was working in the establishment where I was working, he could even need some other things from us apart from this matter. And then, he doesn't know how this news will spread and what impression it will create of him in other offices and all of that. And then the court now turned to me and gave me a sermon on how I was still young at the bar and I shouldn't be making enemies for myself. And now, even though I was a woman at the bar, I am now a man by virtue of being a lawyer. And then I should develop thick skin. I shouldn't let things get to me. That there's no need for me to respond to or react because of what he had done or what he had said earlier and all of that. So, yeah, the court settled the quarrel for us. So, the court admonished us, and the court told him that, it's not necessary. If I don't want to sign it, it's not really necessary and all of that. So the court, made peace, and then he left, and then I continued with my matter. So I have a feeling that because in between his own matter and another matter, court told that other lawyer that they were granting me what I had asked for because I was still young at the bar. That's why they were considering me and granting me that which I had asked for. So I have a feeling that he might have thought about that and now really zeroed in on the fact that, oh, maybe I'm just Johnny just come, so he can do and undo. So he actually really waited, raised up his hand or something of the sort, and reported me in open court in the presence of other lawyers for not signing a process that I'm not even duty bound to sign. Yes, I don't have to sign it. I've served the lawyer a motion before, a senior lawyer. He told me he wasn't going to sign it, that is he going to deny that he collected the motion from me. So I don't even have to sign it. And I didn't do anything. I didn't report him to the court. I did not. I just gave him the motion and I believed in good faith. I told my colleague that I've served him the motion so that when the time comes, you know, it will be on record that I actually served him the motion. So, well, so that's how it went on. What am I trying to bring out from all of this? You know, that's not the only time that I've been spoken to like that. There was a time that I was objecting to someone's cross-examination of my witness in court, and the lawyer was snapping, a senior lawyer was snapping at me, sit down, what are you saying? You know, all sorts of. That day too, I did not sit down. I insisted on the objection because they were misrepresenting facts to the court and the court was following them. I remember that day what had happened was that you know, they were raising an alibi. I remember that matter. It was a case of murder. Yeah, it was a murder matter, and they were raising an alibi. Let's say the murder was committed on the 25th, you know, and then the defendants were arrested days afterwards, one after the other. It was a gang fight. So they were raising an alibi for one of the defendants, one of the lawyers, because a lot of lawyers were in that matter. So one of them was raising an alibi that at the time he was arrested, he was at so place, different from the place where the murder was committed. That's not even a proper alibi to start with. But the court was following him and he was on record. So I had to raise an objection and tell. So he was asking the police officer that why did they not investigate that alibi? So I had to object and tell the court that it was misleading the witness. So I'm misleading the court, almost misleading the court. So the court insisted. The court even tried to explain an alibi to me. I said, yes, my lord, I know. I know that alibi means that, you know, at the time that the offense was committed, the accused person or the defendant was contemporaneously at a different place. I've done a video on alibi, by the way. Please watch it. So, but what I was trying to point out to the court, I had to explain over and over before the court got it to. Because as a young lawyer rather, senior lawyers will try to play you. They will try to play you. You know, everyone is there caring about their own best interests. Many of them don't even care about ethics. I'm sorry to say that. Now, let me not descend into, you know, unfair comments. But you have to look out for your own best interest as well, and especially the best interest of your firm, of your case, of your office, of your clients. So I had to explain to the court that at the time the offense was committed, he was not at the place they are claiming he was now. They are talking about the next day. The police have no duty. They are not duty bound to investigate an alibi claim for the next day of offense. Alibi is same time I was elsewhere. So we are talking about the 25th. They are asking this police officer why he did not investigate a claim that the defendant was at another place on the 26th. It's different, my lord. And so that's when the court now say, oh, the court now agreed with me. But when they snapped at me to sit down, I did not sit down. I stood my ground. So I don't know. I have a feeling it might be a function of being female. It might be a function of being soft-spoken. Because I don't bellow the way that other lawyers, some lawyers do bellow. You know, male lawyers can be very imposing and intimidating in their approach. I don't need all of that. You know, we deal in facts and we deal in poise and grace. You know, there's no need to be imposing or disrespectful, you know, to drive home our points. And the Lord is with us. Hallelujah. So that's what I want to talk about. So if you're a male lawyer and you're watching this, be very careful. There's no need for you to be disrespectful. Be cautious. Be cautious. Be courteous and cautious. You know, it will help you a lot. It will put in the good books of your colleagues. You know, because some people, some lawyers act as if that's the only case in the whole wild world. You don't know what will bring you together again. You don't know that. So it's important. I was reading something, I think yesterday, someone was proposing that when people apply for senior advocate of Nigeria, that and they submit cases, the LPPC, that's the Lawyers Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee, that awards the sanship, should contact their opposing counsels in the cases, should contact the opposing counsel in the cases they submit, to ask about them. I know that it will not go well, because some people come to court and turn it to a boxing ring. You're fighting. You don't know that case will finish, lawyer will remain. Case maton, lawyer lumaku. So please, let's be respectful of our colleagues. So please, let's be respectful one to the other. It's basic. I mean, it's basic. Why did we go to law school if we'll come out and be fighting like dogs and hyenas? So that's what I want to talk about or reflect on in this episode. It's very important to choose your words carefully and not to look down on your colleagues by virtue of their physical height, by virtue of their being female, which is what I can surmise from this whole situation. If you think it's something else, you can talk about it in the comment section. But that's all I have for you in this video. I will see you in my very next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Toodles.